what I hope to do today is, first of all, just kind of give you an update on what's going on with the project itself, and show you a little bit of Loeb's plans for it, and then talk a little bit about the branding and what we're doing uniquely over there. I want to thank you for having me here, and I also want to introduce Leslie Jerkins, who's also with Loeb Properties, who also works in marketing. The way Leslie and I kind of differentiate our different roles in this project and other things is that Leslie is full-time focused on working on the tenants and leasing and attracting to all of the Loeb properties throughout the city, whereas I get the pleasure of being focused solely on Overton Square, and I am focused more on the customers who would be using our tenants and supporting our tenants as well too. So that's kind of how we differentiate ourselves there. So the first part of this that I'm going to do is really just sort of our standard Overton Square presentation to sort of update you on what our plans are. You know, the real impetus behind this was really an exciting time for Midtown. We believe Overton Square is only one piece of the greater puzzle that's happening there. When you look at all of the options with Sears Crosstown and the Washington Bottom site, which is where Target was looking several years ago at coming in, the Union Avenue Police Precinct is moving out, there are the improvements along Madison Corridor, including the bike lanes, the establishment of the Overton Park Conservancy, the resurgence of Broad Avenue, and continuation of Cooper Young doing so well, that all of these things kind of come together, make it a really unique time to be involved in what's going on in Midtown Memphis right now. And we just believe that Overton Square is very positioned to be a great connector and friend to all of those projects and a piece of that bigger puzzle that's happening in the Midtown Renaissance. Our plans right now, let's see if I can make this work. So this is the existing parking lot right here. The parking garage that you have heard so much about right here is on the west side. It'll take up about 60%, I think, of the existing parking space. We'll go from around 300 surface spaces that we have right now to about 425 spaces when all of this is done. Hattie Lou Theater is purchasing this right here, which would be the southeast corner of that parking lot, and that's where their new theater will be built. These red buildings that you see are future. We're not breaking ground on them, we're not trying to build them right now. Loeb's plans are to lease out the buildings that we've got right now. All of them will continue to exist, we're not tearing anything down. Once we lease those out, if the demand is still there, we will look at some options for building in those three sites right there. The timeline for all of this right now, you know, here's where we are right here, sort of in 2012. We've, kind of beyond all the planning and development, one of the biggest things was last December when the City Council voted to approve the funding for the garage and the detention basin that is underneath it. Lick Creek, which is an area north of Overton Square, has experienced a lot of flooding throughout for many, many years, primarily due to the overbuilding in Midtown and not having the area for water to seep away. So this detention basin will be underneath the parking garage that is being built there. Sort of some other things happening this year. On June 15th, we are going to have sort of a kickoff party to honor that Loeb has purchased. We are starting to move. You'll start to see things happen over there. Some of the construction will start. You'll start to see the landscaping come in, fix up, those types of things. In July, the city will break ground and start on their garage at that time. And then there are a couple of other events. In September, the Church Health Center is bringing Rock for Love to Overton Square, and we will close down Madison and welcome them. In November, Indie Memphis takes place. I share all these things with you to remind you. Several people will say to me, well, when is it that Overton Square is going to be open? 1969 is when we're open. We are open today. We've got great businesses over there that we want people to continue to support through all of this, especially during the construction. We hope that you take the extra 5 minutes to avoid the construction and look for what may take a little bit more time to find a parking space over there for a little while and really support those local businesses that will need all of the community there supporting them during this transition. We believe that we are timing our completion of the Loeb properties at the time the garage will be completed for obvious reasons, and that it looks like that's going to be third quarter of 2013 right now. These are just to show you a few kind of before and afters. This is the corner if you were standing at Madison and Cooper looking at the building. Right now, there's sort of what we refer to internally as the speedway that you come along here. It is our intention to square off that corner and then use this space to create more of a plaza where activity could happen. There would be a plug-and-play stage that if you were dining at one of these establishments right here, this would also be your view from, we announced a couple weeks ago that local gastropub is moving into the old Yosemite Sam's. This, if you were sitting in Yosemite Sam's, that you would be looking out sort of over this plaza as well too. This is the back side of Overton Square, so we're standing in the existing parking lot right now. When you're looking at this, Memphis Pizza Cafe sort of over here to the right. And again, this is an area, we hope that parking will go away and it will be more of a gathering place, another place where live music can occur. We talk about this internally as sort of the more family-friendly area because the traffic is so much slower there that this would be a place where you would feel comfortable having your kids run around and do activities here after you've had dinner or been in some of the shops. This is again looking from the existing parking space. This building right here is where the ice skating rink was, or Palm Court, or whatever iteration is what you remember. And again, just sort of looking at opening this space up, making it more visible through here so that the pedestrian ways and walking through the square are comfortable and well lit and open. Some of these are more conceptual. This is right now the existing French Quarter Inn. This is one of the architects playing around with the concept of how that may look. The big thing for us here would be taking down that brick wall so that it was more a part of the square and didn't feel separated off of, but really bringing that hotel to be a part of the square and its activities. This is looking towards, that's Bogey's right there in the middle. This is the current Le Chardonnay, the studio back in the back. Again, sort of bringing landscaping and lighting to the site so that it becomes more inviting and welcoming to pedestrians. This was an idea right now that between Bosco's, and so this is Yosemite Sam's right here where local will be going in and looking at adding porch space, signage, making things, bringing everything to the street and raising the level of our buildings. This is a concept for, this is where you may have ice skated at one point or gone to a party at Palm Court or eat dinner there. This is probably the most unsure of thing. That building, there are a lot of different ideas for how we might approach it, and most of it will be tenant driven, but just some concepts that we're looking at doing here. One of the things that we hope to bring to the square is we're looking at opportunities of where we can put in what we call micro retailing. So picture stores that are 200 square feet, 500 square feet. What we've heard from lots of other cities have told us that the entrepreneurism that happens in these things, that small businesses can kind of get in, test their concept, figure out what they're doing with a lower rent amount than a rent on 1,000 square feet or 3,000 square feet concept might be. So we see these as great opportunities to kind of support those local businesses developing. These are the current concepts for the garage that's going to be there. The garage itself will be a work of art. I never really thought that I would say these words myself or iterate these words, but this is really a beautiful garage. This view right here is, this is if you had come off of Union and turned left onto Diane, so the square is actually back here behind us. This is the corner of Theater Works right here. So this is where you would drive your car in. It's very open, sort of a boulevard right along here. This image is, let me orient myself. Okay, so this is if you had turned from Cooper towards the square. So right here, that edge of the building is the Palm Court building where the ice skating rink was. Again, sort of making it very pedestrian friendly. The surface parking, Hattie Lou would be over here to the left. Looking at that corner. This building right here at the back is Palm Court. So this is like if you had left Theater Works and were walking across. These panels right here are something that we are looking at that would provide opportunities for advertising, keeping everybody up to date, what's going on, what are the happenings in the square that day, artwork being placed throughout this. So this perspective, so right here is that courtyard that I refer to as the family-friendly courtyard. So Memphis Pizza Cafe is sort of right here. Again, making the garage will be very, very open, easy access, lots of good lighting opportunities through there. This, to me, is one of the most exciting things that's happening with the garage. So the garage is being built. So if you entered right here, that we would have the ability to put up these barriers so that people could drive in and open the back end of their trucks or whatever, and we could support a farmer's market or an artist market as sort of pop-up things happening there. These asterisks that you see through here are these big-ass fans. The company is literally called the Big Ass Fan Company, so I'm not making but again, we see this as a great opportunity, to bring in other aspects of activity and retail and to the square itself. One of the other things we're really excited about, I mentioned earlier, are connections to all of the other great things that are happening in Midtown. So at the end of this month, we should get the results back. MATA has been conducting a study. So this is Overton Square right here. To look at putting in a route that every 30 minutes a bus would run from Overton Square up around Overton Park. So you can go to Brooks, the zoo, go by here so we can pick up or drop off road students, come around here to Broad Avenue, all the way down Parkway if you wanted to go to the football game or the Croc Center, come back here through Cooper Young if you wanted to stop by and have a drink, stop at Cafe Night, come all the way back up Cooper to Overton Square, and this route would run continually. I believe the study they're doing right now is focused more on sort of a Thursday through Sunday, 2 p.m. to 12 midnight sort of run. But again, it would allow you to come park your car in the parking garage at Overton Square and access all of these activities on these circulating bus routes. We envision it being, it's a smaller branded bus, hybrid, or a wheel-based, one of the trolleys that's rubber-tired trolley, that sort of thing. So this is something we're really excited about, and they're looking forward to hearing the results of this study about how to make this work.
How far along are they getting that centralized and done?
The study is supposed to be back at the end of May, from what I understand, so we'll see what the date. If you'll let me get through this, and then I'm going to try and be really brief because I know you have lots of questions. So let me talk very briefly. I just want to talk to you about 3 kind of unique aspects of branding Overton Square that we are doing. The big challenge for Overton Square is, having it be, there are lots of arts districts in Memphis. There are lots of places to go out to eat in Memphis. There are lots of choices to shop. So how do we make Overton Square into a place where when you arrive there that you have arrived someplace special or someplace different is really the ultimate challenge for us. So there are 3 aspects there are a lot of aspects, but 3 that I want to briefly mention to you all today. The first challenge is that we are inheriting a lot of people's memories about this, and with that comes a lot of expectation. There is so much community passion and excitement about this project, which is fantastic, but there's also a lot of, I was thinking about the Spider-Man, has a lot of responsibility with that as well too, to honor those. So a lot of what we've done to work with this is really where our big communication challenge, or not challenge, opportunity has really come up. We have some fantastic, what we call two-way communication partners that have worked with us on this. These are people that came way before us. The place opened in 1969. Lots of people have been talking about wanting to redevelop and looking at redeveloping Overton Square a long time before the Loebs took on the challenge of this project. And so a lot of what we've been doing is really embracing those people that came before us, who have spent a lot more time thinking about it, have a lot of ideas about that, and honoring those roles, because without them, I don't think we'd be standing here talking to you about this today. And then welcoming the new players that are coming because of all this excitement. Some examples of this are, so for instance, before the City Council vote in December, there was a petition put together to ask members of the community to tell the City Council that we were all in support of designating these funds to build the detention basin in the garage. The word went out with these, all that happened was Memphis Heritage, Playhouse on the Square, Save Overton Square, Lick Creek Coalition, Hagen Theater, all put it on their social media pages, sent emails out. Our expectation for that, at this point, the Madison Avenue corridor, the bike supporters had put together a petition. They had run it for about 3 weeks, and they'd gotten 500 signatures for it. We had 6 days before our vote, so that was our goal. If we could possibly get 500 signatures in 6 days, we were going to feel like we had been really successful. 2,132 signatures later, in 6 days from this, and with this came an enormous amount of suggestions and ideas and excitement and that sort of thing. So that's the level of community passion that we're dealing with on this. Just to mention, one of this group, Save Overton Square, is a group that organized itself, again, long before anyone at Loeb was conceptualizing working on this project. They have 7,000 fans on Facebook from all over the country that are so excited about this project and are putting their passion behind this. So they've been a great resource to us in terms of the support, but then also we really believe that their opinions matter. We put out a survey a few weeks ago, and in a week had 700 respondents just telling us about what adjectives do you want to use, what is it that made you sign the petition? Was it that it was a historic building? Was it that the new opportunity? And really kind of gauging those things and stuff, but also that we can really build what the things that have inspired this community passion for so long. The second aspect that I'm going to sort of touch on is we have a broad target market. As all of you know in this world, that it would be lovely to be able to go through life saying we're going to market to everyone. And it's a great, it didn't work a lot of times in practicality. So what we've really tried to do is to say that we want to build something where everyone is welcome, but trying to define our target of who it is that we're actually going to spend our energy and time trying to attract there. And so we've really focused on what are the characteristics or the ties that bind this wide, broad audience together. For us, local is a big thing, and that's both that we are designing this, we have the majority of the tenants there, if not all, are local businesses. And I would be, going to have a brownie point taken away from me if I did not mention, when we say that too, Bob Loeb would be very clear if he was here to say, it is not our intention to attract businesses from other places to close up shop and come to Overton Square. That to us is a zero-sum game. It is not what we are looking for. What we hope comes to Overton Square is people who are good operators that are local, that are starting a first-time business, or opening a second location like local gastropub is, or that are doing something and have a new concept that they want to try out. Taylor Berger, who owns YOLO, has a partner together, and they've rented a building, the old Chicago Pizza Factory. Perhaps some of you read, they're opening up a business called Chihuahuas. Completely new concept. Apparently hot dogs, tacos, and good tequila. Sounds fantastic to me. So, again, great example of really good operator, knows his stuff, totally different concept than YOLO's is. So those are sort of our ideals in that local. From an authentic, is a big thing for us, wanting this to be a place where you feel like that this is real. We talk a lot internally about that Beale Street is 80% tourists and 20% locals. So we want to be the opposite of that. We want to be 80% locals and 20% tourists. And that the tourists that are coming are not coming because they're there to get their Elvis cup, that they're coming because they are saying to people, tell me where the locals go hang out. I want to go experience some authentic Memphis. That sort of thing. Experiencing something unique is another characteristic of this group, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then a very safe, comfortable place to bring your kids and your grandkids. When I was interviewing for this job, that was the thing that really hooked me. Is I said, well, who is it that you expect to be there? And they said, we want to build a place where from 20-somethings to 90-somethings feel like that this was a place that they would bring their kids and grandkids and know that they would be welcome and feel comfortable there. And that was what sold me on it. So the third and the last aspect of this branding is that we're an arts and entertainment district. And with that comes the responsibility of defining for Memphis what an arts and entertainment district is. And that there was a national expert Bob Gibbs was in town recently. He was like, y'all have a lot of arts districts here. He was like, everybody thinks they're a new arts district. And it was a big thing for us to think about. Okay, we've got to think about what that means differently here. And the obvious answer behind that is that what we do have that is unique is the presence of all the theaters. So we have 4 theaters there right now, and a 5th one when Hattie moves in. And so, you know, how do we aspire to fulfill that promise of being an arts and entertainment district? So for me, a lot of what we do is, in my mind, the attraction to the arts, and the reason why everybody wants to be an arts district is because I think what the arts does for us is they make us think, and they inspire us, they introduce new concepts and ideas to our lives, new perspectives, and that they appeal to all 5 senses. So there's something about the arts that inspires this in us, and that's why we are attracted to these types of things. So our solution here is to make the arts really accessible and a part of a fabric of Overton Square and what we're building there. And a big piece of that to us means to be a good landlord. Bob also tells, when he gives this presentation, people say, well, why do you think Overton Square didn't work the first go around? He says, well, one of the challenges is that in the past they were trying to be both landlords and operators. And that's a hard thing to do. So what Loeb wants to do is be really, really good landlords, because that's their expertise, that's what they're fantastic at. And attract really good operators, because that's what they're experts at, and that is the way that this will really work. And so on that note, we take that responsibility as well to our marketing and programming. That we want Overton Square to be a place where we can be a good landlord to community activities happening, to arts organizations having things there, to the Church Health Center coming and having Rock for Love there in September. So that's really our goal, is to be a good landlord or good curator for those arts activities that are happening in Overton Square. And so a couple of examples of how this looks and how this might happen. So one of the first things we did in our plans, all these pink dots and pink lines all over here are the opportunities to install arts throughout the square. Whether that's visual, things that apply to that you can see, or 3D, that there are more things that you can touch and feel, that live music that you hear, it stimulates that sense, and then of course culinary arts, because we got a lot of great restaurants there and we're bringing in a lot more, and again applying to that, the taste idea of these senses. So the thing that really differentiates us in this area is going to be our programming. And like I said, it's all about collaborating and connecting for us. We want to be good landlords to these great activities that are happening there. At the same time of this too, we have to honor the fact that the theater arts are the thing that really differentiates us. So I was lucky enough to be standing next to a very smart friend of mine the other day who said, well, you know, what's interesting and what's unique about the theater is that when you go to a theater, a really good performance, when you come out of it, you feel like reality has been suspended for you for a little while. And so how do we take that sense of, is it art or is it life, and pull it out of the theater, because it can be inaccessible when it's behind a big wall or you have to buy a ticket, or that performances don't go on 24/7 throughout that. So a lot of what we're looking at is how can we interject art into this area that it's unexpected, that you suspend reality, that you're walking through the door and that the art is things that you do not expect that make you stop and think, that the normal, that a bus stop becomes a quaint place to sit down for a while, that a fire hydrant can be an opportunity for decoration. Big events, fantastic thing. You will see many more events happening at the square, and we're looking forward to all of those. But a big piece of what we want to do as well too is how do we take those mini festival experiences and break them down so they can happen on a more regular basis. So perhaps one day you come to Overton Square and when you go into the bathroom there's a tap dancer in the bathroom and all you see are the feet below it and hear the beat. Or that after a while you start realizing that the couple sitting at the table next to you at the restaurant doesn't really seem to be eating, but they are mirroring everything that each other does. Or they stand up, or they get up and break into a dance in the midst of all this. Or you're sitting in a store one day and someone walks by, strolls by, and is singing opera. Or my other example, the same very smart friend came up with, this one may not be as pretty, so it's like, or maybe you're sitting there and the people next to you get in a huge fight, throw water at each other, and then storm out of the restaurant. You're thinking, you can't believe it. And then they can come back in and take a bow. Or that it's the guy that you're sitting there and all of a sudden you walk by and somebody plops down their soapbox and hops up on it and reads the poetry that they've written that day. Live music, all of these things being a part of this. That we take ordinary objects and turn them into unexpected experiences. That the concept of a newspaper man takes on a new idea. That an ordinary thing like an umbrella can become a work of art. This is one of my favorites. This is actually a picture from Italy where the repairs have been done by Legos. I hope that y'all are close enough to be able to see that. You know, that maybe swingers at Overton Square has a whole new definition. And this next thing, that dragons can come out of our buildings when we're not even expecting them. That I love teasing Taylor Berger at YOLO about this, that perhaps one day his trailer, his little food truck is sitting out there, and the next day we have some fun and give people something to talk about how that melted. This to me is amazing. This is chalk that someone has drawn on there. So that it's two-dimensional. You can walk straight across it and stuff. And this is an artist out of Germany that does some amazing things like that. But again, that you take these common everyday occurrences and they become opportunities to inject art in places that you were not expecting necessarily to see them. So at Overton Square, what we really hope is that everything becomes a canvas, that everything is something unique and an opportunity for us. And that's what we believe is going to differentiate us. We believe that's what's going to bring you back over and over again to come there. And we believe that that's the thing that's going to keep everybody talking about us, so that everybody wants to be at the square. And that's all I have.